Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about search engine optimization. And so this will kind of help you understand what you can do to launch your business to the top of the search engines. This is vitally important, so this video will kind of briefly go over several different things. We also want to encourage you to attend our additional webinars that we'll be doing that will also go over multiple topics that we go over in this introduction video. So to understand what SEO is and kind of how it works, we're going to do a simple Google search. So you have a Google search. For example, in this case, we're going to be doing a Google search for golf swing trainer. Now when you type that into Google, results are going to come up. According to this, there's about 2.8 million results. That's a lot. And so what Google has to do is go through those results and decide what's the most relevant. So you have two sections of the search. First, you have the paid search section where you actually pay for ads to appear in your search engine. So you can actually do that. That's called pay-per-click, and that's something that you can do with your website. It gets your site up on the first page pretty quick, but it can be expensive and can add up pretty quickly. And then there's also what's called the free or the organic search, where results start to appear organically, so they start to appear up naturally, and those don't cost money. Those are free, and so that's something that you can work on, and through SEO you can actually start to appear in those organic results. So now that we have that basic understanding, let's go ahead and understand how search works. So there's two sections to it. There's search indexes and there's search engines. So there's a couple examples of search indexes. There's Google, MSN, and what's called Teoma. What a search engine or what a search index is it's a place where all the algorithms are stored to determine what appears in the search results, where even the indexing, so when someone indexes your site or kind of scans your website, this is where the indexes go, so this is where that information goes, is through one of these search indexes. Now search engines is what you're familiar with. For example, we have Google, AOL, CNN. They use Google's search index, so they use the information from Google to be able to pull up on their results. MSN uses Bing, Yahoo, Alta Vista. Those use the MSN search index, and then Ask.com uses Teoma. So again, just to kind of understand the differences, just so you can have a better understanding of how search works. So to understand too how the search engine market share works, obviously you can see that Google has a big chunk of the search engine market share. The next one that comes is Bing, Yahoo, and then so forth. And so you can see the majority is, of course, Google. So who do we care about ultimately? We care about Google. We want to make sure that we please them and do what we can because they're the ones that are being used the most. So it's important that we please them and we care about them the most. So what does Google like? Google likes three sections. They like on-page factors, they like off-page factors, and they like panda/penguin factors. Those are algorithm changes. Now, each one of these actually has its own separate webinar, so I encourage you to attend those when you have the chance. But let's go ahead and go through each one of these sections. First, we have the on-page, and we want to look at what's the title. So every page has a title. Every page has a description. Every page has keywords associated with it. Every page has ad copy, so that's the actual content on the page. And that content has a couple factors or things associated with it, such as a headline, using H1, H2, H3 tags, having an opening paragraph of your content, having the main body or the main substance of what the page is about, and then also having that closing paragraph as well. And then also including alt image tags, and that basically is just when you put your mouse over an image, it lets you know what that image is about. Because sometimes when people go to a website, they have images disabled, and so a lot of times that picture will be replaced with text. But it's also for the search engines to look at and see what the picture is about, because they obviously can't look at a picture and understand what the picture is. And so it needs that image alt tags to fully understand what the picture is about. Next we have off-page factors, and with that you look at PageRank, so how relevant your site is according to Google. You also look at anchor text links, so these are links that are off of other people's sites that are going back to your site, and just looking at those. Next we look at Panda Penguin, and we look at social signals and fully understanding why social media is so effective now. With Facebook, Twitter, Google+, it's important to be involved in those. And then also what your user behavior is. So what happens when the user comes to your site? Is it an easy process for them? Do they get frustrated? So that's important to know what the user behavior is on that. And then lastly, website usability. How easy is it to navigate your site? Is your user interface pretty easy? Can they check out quickly? Or is what's the user experience? Is it a great one, or is it frustrating and they end up leaving? So it's important to look at all these things and see what does Google like, and so if you focus on these three factors, you end up having a great site and start appearing in the search engines. So let me kind of give you a little bit of a SEO secret weapon that will definitely help you out. There's what's called deep indexing search engine, and that's something that Google does. And essentially what that means is Google treats every page on your website as its own website. And this is so important to know because it essentially means that you have more than one opportunity to show up on the first page of Google. So if you treat every page on your site as its own website, just think when someone does a specific search for something, you have a specific page that talks about that and could be potentially pulled up for it. So let's look at an example. So here you have your home page, and then you have a couple category pages, and then you have a couple individual or subcategories underneath drivers, and then even go below that you have products. And so this is just an example of a site that if you were selling golf products. And so that's something that's important to look at. So let's say, for example, someone were to do a Google search for just golf products. Where would you want that to go? Well, that's a generic term, so you'd obviously want that to go to the home page. Now let's say someone were to do a search for golf drivers. Would we want them to go to the home page? No. We'd want them to go to our drivers page because they're searching for drivers in particular. So we'll send them right to the drivers page. And let's say someone's searching for Nike drivers. Do we want to send them to the drivers page? No. We want to send them to the Nike page. So this is kind of a cool example of deep indexing, so that way your pages stay relevant and Google will direct your user to the right page. So that way they don't have to navigate themselves to find what they're looking for. It'll just take them there at the very beginning. So we have an SEO plan, and with your SEO plan you have a couple things. One, you want to create an SEO wireframe, and we'll explain each one of these in detail in just a moment. Next, you want to make sure that you do keyword research and making sure you have good keywords on each page. Next, you want to set your priorities. Fourth, you want to create an SEO calendar. 5, you want to do on-page factors. 6, you want to do off-page factors and Panda factors. And then you want to review your position. So let's go through each one of these steps. So step 1, you have an SEO wireframe. Now with this, SEO wireframe is basically mapping out what's on what's on your website. So you start off with the home page. Then you map out what your categories are. And then you map out what your subcategories are. And then you map out your individual products. This will help you understand what pages are on there, so you can have a realization of how many pages you could actually potentially be pulled up for. So this is good to know. It may take some time, but it is a good thing to understand and know. Now once you have that SEO wireframe mapped out, next you want to do some research, and research of 2 to 3 keywords per page. So with this, you just basically want to find 2 to 3 keywords per page. That's important. So that means each page on your site, home page, drivers, irons, putters, every single page. That's so important. Typically, we recommend that you use the Google Keyword Planner. That's found in Google AdWords. So if you don't have a Google AdWords account, I suggest you create one. You don't necessarily have to have an AdWords account or actually create an AdWords account and spend money on pay-per-click. It is a free tool, so I recommend that you at least get the account set up. You usually sync that up with a Gmail account of some sort. Now you want to make sure that you find relevant keywords for each page. So if you're talking about drivers, you don't want that to go on the irons or putters page. So you want to make sure that it's relevant. And then the more specific you are, make sure it remains specific to the page that it belongs to. Remember too, don't necessarily shy away from competitive keywords, and the reason is competition equals a lot of traffic. So, an example of a competitive keyword may be, golf drivers or something like that. There's a lot of people searching for it, but there's a lot of competition. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. So, kind of keep that in mind as you're doing your keyword research. Okay, so just remember, every page on your site you want to make sure that you find keywords for, and then it will treat your site like every page is a website. So remember that. Okay, step 3, you need to set your priorities. So you got to realize, you got to say, what pages do you want to start on? And this is important to understand too. Do you start on the home page? Do you start on your category pages? Where do you start? I recommend the bottom-up approach, and the reason is because the bottom-up approach is meaning starting from the bottom of your SEO wireframe and working your way up. So starting on a product page. The reason is because on the product level pages they're easiest to optimize because they're very specific. So someone could potentially type in TMR11 driver. Now a hint with this is you want to make sure that you're using Google Analytics, because with Google Analytics they'll actually tell you what people are searching for to find your site. So you can use that to your advantage. If you start appearing for a keyword that you haven't optimized for yet, you can take that information and incorporate it into your site. So definitely use Google Analytics to your advantage. Step 4, you want to create an SEO calendar, and what that is obviously this is going to take some time to optimize and get content on every single page on your site. It's not something that it's expected of you to do overnight, and so not to worry. So I recommend creating an SEO calendar. So what I mean by that is, let's say on day 1 or on one day you decide to optimize and do the product page. So you can break this up. You can say, I want this to do, and I want to do it in one day. I want to do it in 1 week. I want to do it in 1 month. You kind of decide the pace. Obviously, you want to try to get this done as quickly as possible, but don't feel like you need to do it all at once. So definitely create a calendar. So again, day 2, you'd work on the tailor-made drivers, and then day 3, you would work on the drivers page. Okay. Alright, next step is the on-page factors. So you want to make sure that each page on your site first has a meta title, and that's just basically what's the page about. So if it's the home page, category page, product page, you want to make sure that you mention that in the title. Next, you have a meta description. So what is the page about? Quick 2 sentences, gives a call to action, inviting your customer to come to that particular page. And then also the keywords. You want to make sure that you include whatever keywords you've decided to put on that page in the meta keyword tag. A lot of times you'll hear that the search engines don't look at it, look at the keyword tag anymore, and that's true. Google doesn't look at it too much very often, so they look more heavily on the title and the description, and so you want to make sure that your keywords are found in your title and description as well. But other search engines still use the meta keyword tag. So not all your traffic is going to come from Google. So it's important to put that in. Google doesn't ding you for having keywords in your meta keywords tag, but so put it in there for safekeeping and for safe measures. Next is add copy, so making sure you have the actual copy that's on your page, so the content, as going before, making sure you're putting in headings, have that opening paragraph, main body, and concluding paragraph. So again, making sure you have the page headings, H1, H2 tags, opening paragraph, main body, and then closing paragraph. So making sure that that's in there. And then the other thing too is you want to make sure that your keywords are found in your content 2 to 4% of the time. So if you have 1 to 2 keywords on a page, you want to make sure that each one of those keywords are found in the content or the ad copy 2 to 4% of the time. The key thing here with this is you want to make sure that it sounds natural. So if it's in 4% of the time but it doesn't sound very natural, decrease it down to 3 to 2%. You have a little wiggle room to make it sound natural. So kind of keep that in mind. And then also, if you have any image on the pages, which obviously most of you will, it's important to have that image alt tag. So when people put their mouse over it, they understand what the picture is about, but also the search engines look at this as well. So that makes sure that you understand fully what this is about. Okay. Step 6 is off-page and panda factors. And with this, you have the first section, which is page rank and anchor text backlinks. So, you have the opportunity. There's a lot of sites out there that will allow you to write articles, or even on your social media. You can create what's called an anchor text backlink. So essentially, you can highlight a word in an article. So in this case, if we were selling drivers, we could highlight the word golf drivers. And if someone were to click on that golf drivers link, it would take them to your website. And so it's important to have those anchor text backlinks because it just shows that you're more relevant with what you're about. And then the page rank too, obviously when you're building those links, you want to make sure that the links that you're building are on sites that have high page rank, because high page rank lets Google know that that site is credible. And so sites ranked from 0 to 10, 10 being the best. So obviously the higher the number, the better. And so that's something to keep in mind. Next, you have social signals. So making sure that you're involving yourself with Twitter, Facebook, Google+. There's also other search engine or social media sites out there that I recommend that you look at. And so it's so important to get yourself involved with those and get followers, likes, because it gives you an opportunity to share with your customer base new products, new blogs, and then even run contests to let people know what you're about. So that's kind of a neat little thing there. And then last but not least is you want to make sure that the user experience is good for your customer. Is your site easy to navigate? Is it pleasing to the eye? What is your user's experience? And making sure that it's as easy as possible to check out and get what they want. And so kind of keeping that in mind, Google starts looking at that as well. And so that's something that's very important. Okay, and step 7. You want to make sure that you review your position. So make sure that you check back often to see where your website is showing up in search results. How you do that is you simply do a Google search. Search for one of your terms that you're marketing for. So like, for example, if I was searching for golf drivers for sale, I would want to do a Google search and see if I've started appearing. You may have to go through a couple pages to see if you can find your site, but if you're not showing up, that means you need to keep working on that keyword. But as you start to show up, that means you're getting closer and closer, and then eventually you'll end up on the first page if you continually work at it. Okay, so now that you kind of understand what you can be doing on your end, I wanted to kind of explain a little bit of what our marketing services are going to be doing for you if you've purchased with us and if you purchase a marketing package. So with this, what we do for you is a couple things. One, we do keyword research. Next, we do on-page optimization for you. We do a monthly SEO campaign. And then we do monthly reporting. So let's kind of briefly go over each one of these sections. So first, we have keyword research. To understand a little bit about keyword research, one of the first things we determine is if your business is a national business, meaning you can sell to anyone, anywhere, or if it's a local business. And so, for example, if you're a national business, you can sell to anyone, anywhere. An example of that would be, if I was selling golf clubs. I could sell that to anyone, anywhere. So a keyword for that would be golf clubs, or golf clubs for sale, or best golf clubs, things like that. A local area or a local business would be something like a dentist. So if you're a dentist in the Boise, Idaho area, someone would do a search for dentist in Boise, Idaho. And so it would make sure when you're doing your research that you're conforming to what your users are looking for. So now that we have that basic understanding of what keyword research is and once you've kind of determined what market you're going after, next you got to do so let me kind of explain how keyword research works, and kind of what your user will go through in kind of a phase. So I'm going to do a little bit of an example here. Let's say, for example, you were looking to buy a car. You don't know what car, you just want to know, what kind of cars are available. So there's what's called the research phase. So as a user, you do a research phase. So you would type in something like best cars of 2013. So you do a search and you're kind of doing some research. Then you finally decided kind of what car you want. So in this case, let's say you wanted to buy a truck. You've decided on a truck, but you're not sure what type of truck. So next you have what's called the comparison phase. With the comparison phase, you've decided what you wanted, but now you want to kind of compare out of which trucks is best. So maybe you'd type in something like Toyota Tacoma versus a Ford F-150. And so you kind of would do your research and decide what would be the best for you. So after you've decided, you say, you know what, I decided I wanted a Toyota Tacoma. So after you've officially decided that, then you're in the buyer phase. So you are looking for that particular truck. So maybe you do a Google search for 2013 gray Toyota Tacoma with lift kit. So that's very specific. Now, the reason it's important to understand the phases of your buyer is because you potentially want to have keywords that will rank for all three of their phases. So if they're doing research, you want to have kind of a generic term for them. If they're comparing, you want to have kind of a comparison phase where maybe it's comparing categories or just various areas of your site. And then you have a buyer phase where you're very specific. So that's kind of like your products, where they're looking for a particular product or a particular category. And so that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. Next, you have now, as far as keyword research goes, you want to do a couple things. First, you need to determine which pages you need to target. So after you've determined what pages you need to target, so what we do for you is we typically choose the home page, 2 category pages, and then 2 product pages. So once we've chosen those pages, then it's a matter of doing keyword research for each page. So how we determine what keywords we use for you is this. First, we find which keywords to target using the Google Keyword Planner tool. So we actually use the tool that we suggested you use and figure out what keywords to use. So how we determine that is that's based on search volume. So how many people are actually searching for the term. Obviously, we want to go after terms people are searching for. But the other thing we need to keep in mind is what's the competition like. We wouldn't want to put your business up against Walmart, Best Buy, all those high-level companies, because that would be like opening up a mom-and-pop shop next to Walmart. If you did something like that, you'd probably lose pretty miserably, and that's not our job. We want to make sure that the competition's relatively low so you'll succeed. Okay, and then we make a final decision on which keywords to target after we've done that official research. After we've determined that your site or the keyword has searches and that the competition is low. And then we incorporate them on the corresponding pages, home page, 2 categories, and 2 product pages. Okay, step 2, what we do for you is we optimize the chosen pages. So we would optimize the title. We'd include the keyword that we found for that particular page. Then we'd optimize the description, also including the keywords that we chose. And then we'd also update the meta keyword tags, so including those. Then we also update the ad copy to include your keyword 2 to 4% of the time, so that way the keywords are found in there as well. And then also we include in the alt image tag if there's an image on that particular page. Okay, step 3. What we do is we do a monthly SEO campaign, and what we do is each month we will build SEO value by doing the following. We will do a little bit of link building and creating these backlinks that come back to your website. We will do social signals, so we'll create, we'll have we have access to Facebook accounts and things that will allow people to share your website and sending it back, because social media is also a big factor. And then, so we'll get you Facebook likes, Google Plus ones, things of that nature. And then we do link indexing and content creation and distribution. So we create content for you that's related to your site and then link it back to your website. So that's vitally important. So those are kind of three major things when put together really do a whole lot of good for you in getting your site out there. And then step 4, we do monthly reporting where, again, you want to check back often to see kind of where you're at. You can use Google Analytics, do the manual way where you do a search, but then we'll also send you a monthly report of the backlinks and things that we've created for you. So that's kind of the end of the video here. Thank you so much for watching. We again will have additional webinars in the future, and we encourage you to attend all the webinars that you can. And we look forward to working with you and see some success on your website. Thank you so much.